Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Viv. I make videos about witchcraft, paganism, spirituality, demonology, occultism, and other related topics. So if that sounds like something interesting to you, feel free to subscribe and all of that stuff. So today we're going to be talking about magical self-care, and self-love, and self-empowerment in magic. So I'd like to preface this by saying that, I have heard the idea that modern witchcraft has sort of become self-help, and in some ways I agree that that's not really the greatest thing because, traditionally witches have been there for their community and it's just been so much more than just self-help. However, I also do go by the idea of like when you're in an airplane, you put on your oxygen before you help someone else. And I think that that principle goes in the rest of life, where you have to help yourself and take care of yourself before you can help others. And when you're taken care of, it's going to be a lot easier for you to care for your community and for the people around you. And I honestly think that self-care is just super important, and I think that as magical practitioners, we can add an extra kick to our regular self-care and just really make it magical. So I'm going to talk about how I do self-care as a magical practitioner, my sort of tips and suggestions, and hopefully this inspires people to take care of themselves a little bit more. So my number one thing is having a routine, especially a morning routine. A night routine is good too, but I find a morning routine really helps me step on a good foot as I go into my day. And I just think it's also really good as a way to progress in your craft. And I know not everyone is able to have a morning routine, and if not, that's completely okay. I have more tips later on that perhaps you could do as well. But for those of you who can, having a morning routine is really helpful. And if that's not something that's built into your tradition already, you can totally create one like I did. I know a lot of the time Thelemites already have, for example, they might do Liber Resh at dawn and then at noon and then sunset and midnight, and certain traditions have their own built-in routines, but not all traditions have that. So for me personally, I like to get up, I like to meditate, and right now what I'm doing is every morning pretty much, unless I really feel the urge to do a different type of meditation, I work on whatever exercise I'm on in the book Psychic Witch. And if you don't follow me on Instagram, you should, because every week I make a post about my experiences with each exercise. So the first thing I do is I meditate at my altar. I also like to anoint myself with some oil first and just get myself in that state of being. The second thing I may or may not do is like prayer to my deities. I may or may not do that. I don't really do that every morning, although maybe I should, I don't know. I do that sometimes. I just don't always have a whole lot of time, but when I do have time, I do try to do that whenever I can, or even if it's just lighting incense for them or just saying a couple words, I might do that. And I also pull a card from the Sacred Self-Care Oracle deck, and this is probably my favorite part, and it kind of gives me a suggestion for what I should do as a form of self-care that day. And I really love this deck. I think it's really useful for my routine, and I place it on my altar for the day, and I always feel like I have to do it. So the other day, I usually don't work out. The other day it told me to build strength, aka workout. And I did it that day because the deck told me to. So I guess no one else but my Oracle deck can tell me what to do. But it's a really good deck. You can also create your own little deck on flashcards. You can write down like forms of self-care, and then you can shuffle those every morning and pull one out. But I just really love the deck. And so then I make a cup of tea or coffee, and I'm going to be going into tea magic soon in this video as well. And I like to infuse some magic into that. Sometimes if I have time, I'll sit outside, maybe ground myself a bit and just sort of connect and mindfully drink my tea or coffee and then have breakfast. So that's sort of my morning routine. And yours doesn't have to look like mine. Yours can just be 5-minute meditation, even a 2-minute meditation. Yours could be more ceremonial. Maybe you do Liber-Resh, maybe you do the LBRP, maybe you do something completely different. But all in all, whatever your morning routine is, it is very helpful to have one if that's possible for you. I think that it's a great way to just start the day off on the right foot. Next, let's talk about tea magic. Now, I do have a video. It's one of my older videos, and you'll probably see that reflected in the quality. But I do have a video on tea magic that I'll put up here. And tea is a big part of my life and a big part of my practice. And I'm talking hot tea. And because in the US, sometimes I say tea and people assume I'm talking about iced tea. No, when I say tea, the default I'm talking about is hot tea. And it's funny because a lot of people here don't drink it. And I come from two cultures where in both cultures, it's a very big central sort of thing. And naturally, it's a big central thing in my life. So usually in the morning, I'll make tea or I'll make Turkish coffee. Both of those are sort of important to me. And you know, tea magic in particular, there's so much you can do with that. There's so much you can add to your tea to sort of amplify your intention for the day. So let's say you want to bring in prosperity. Maybe you could have tea with cinnamon in it. Maybe you could add ginger, cloves, and sort of prosperity herbs. Let's say you want to bring in joy. Maybe you could add an orange peel in there. Maybe for love, you could add some rose syrup or rose petals or rose water, stuff like that. It's really good for amplifying your tea magic. And then I like to sort of visualize that myself stirring that energy into the tea. I like to visualize it glowing. I also incorporate color magic into my visualization. So if I'm bringing in prosperity, maybe it can glow whatever color you associate with prosperity. So maybe it'll glow green. Maybe for love, it'll glow red or pink or maybe even green, because I know a lot of people associate love with green as well. Maybe if you're making a grounding tea, you can sort of incorporate a grounding visualization to there, incorporate the roots going down into the earth and visualizing earth energy flowing up into your cup and then into you as you drink the tea. There's so much you can do with this. There's on adding herbs level, on a visualization level, on a color magic level, on an energy work level. You can even make some of it as like an offering, let's say to your ancestors. You could give some to your ancestors and use it as a form of ancestor work, especially if you come from a culture where tea is like a central thing like I do. Maybe you could make a tea that's a part of your culture and use that to connect to your ancestors, or Turkish coffee like I do, or Yorkshire tea, or, you know, something that perhaps people in your family have drank if we're talking about bloodline ancestors. And then there's just so much you can do with it. Tea magic is one of my favorite forms of magic. I might even make another video about it, maybe a better quality video than my older one. But if you do want to check out that older video, you totally can. Tea magic there's so many layers to it, and I think it should be talked about more. It's more than just steering your attentions into a cup of tea. You can do so much more with it. All right, next, speaking of like energy work and energy magic and incorporating that into your self-care routine, let's talk about the shower. Now, the shower can either be, taking a shower can either be a chore, or it can be a spiritual activity. It can be a form of meditation. And for me, I've been trying to incorporate things into my shower routine that sort of creates not only a magical atmosphere, but also something beneficial to me spiritually as well as just taking a shower. So, you know, so a couple things is that one of the most basic things you can do is visualize the water cleansing you and cleansing your energy. That's a big one. I have a friend who does calling back your energy in the shower from your interactions throughout the day if you take showers in the evening. Another thing you can do is just sort of work with the water element. If you work with the water element, then showers are going to be great for you because you can just feel that water energy. Maybe you can work with your emotions and your intuition and the things that water is associated with as you're in the shower. But my favorite is definitely cleansing, especially if you shower at the end of the day. You can cleanse away that icky energy and just help maintain your spiritual hygiene as you're in the shower, and I think that that's really a good thing to do. Another thing you can do is create your own soaps or buy soaps from magical practitioners with certain intentions in them. I know there's also Florida water soaps, which would be great for cleansing, but you can also even create your own soaps. I know at Michael's they sell like these soap bases and colors and molds and stuff, and if you're interested you can make your own or go on Etsy. There's so many magical practitioners selling their stuff on Etsy, so you'd be supporting another magical practitioner's business as well through buying their soap. But soaps infused, you can use a soap infused with self-love, going with the theme of this video. And you know, maybe it's rose scented, maybe it's vanilla scented, and you just visualize that soap kind of bringing that energy to you, and that self-love energy just seeping into your, for lack of a better word, your aura or your energetic body, or however you want to visualize it or describe it. You can most definitely do that, and that's a really nice thing that you can do as well. And after the shower, maybe you can create like an oil blend for self-love that you can put on after the shower. That's a really nice thing that you can do as well. Now, kind of weaving into this is setting up a self-love shrine. You can set your self-love shrine next to your mirror in the bathroom. So what I've done is that I wrote down, typed up some affirmations, printed it out, and framed it. You can also write them down if you're good with calligraphy, if you want to make it pretty. You can get frames for $1 at the dollar store that are the perfect size for this. And you can frame it and put it next to your bathroom mirror, and then you can add things that you associate with self-love. Let's say if you work with Aphrodite, you can add seashells. If you work with crystals, you can add rose quartz or any other self-love crystals that you like working with. You can add just something heart-shaped. You can add fresh flowers or even fake flowers. Whatever it is that you associate with self-love, add it to your altar. You can also dress some candles and maybe even carve a self-love sigil into it, or even just a heart, and put some candles there. And you could even start taking your showers by candlelight if you prefer that kind of ambiance, and that kind of contributes to that magical atmosphere you're creating. But creating a self-love shrine has been one of the best things I've ever done for myself and within my practice. So 10 out of 10, I'd recommend it. And you can even buy art that you associate with self-love. Maybe you can buy some Aphrodite art, or you know, you can even place a tarot card that you'd associate with self-love, like the Empress maybe, on your shrine. So there's so much you can do with that, and to personalize it. And one thing I love is magic that's personalized. So that's a really good thing that you can do as well. Next, another thing you can do is art magic, and you can also incorporate this into your shrine if you like doing art. You can always incorporate your magic into it through visualization and energy work, but you can also, for example, if you paint, you can use moon water for the paint brushes, for the water that you use. You can add some essential oils to your painting, although just be careful you don't mess up the painting through doing that. You can make infused waters that you add to it, herbal waters that you add. Color magic, again, there's a lot you can do with it. So art magic is a really good form of self-care because art can be so healing and therapeutic and calming and lovely, and I definitely recommend art magic if you're into art. Another thing, of course, that we all probably know is connecting with nature, especially if you practice witchcraft. You're probably a big fan of nature. It's kind of comes with being a witch a lot of the time. So taking walks out in nature. But the other thing is that a lot of people don't have access to nature trails or being in a forest, which, you know, it's okay. Just going barefoot in a patch of grass, you can really ground yourself and connect to nature there, because the earth is everywhere. The gods of nature, the gods of earth are everywhere. They're in that small patch of grass that you're barefoot in. They're in your backyard. They're in those small bits of moss and dandelions that are growing up out through the cracks in the sidewalk. Nature doesn't necessarily have to be in a nature trail or in a forest. If you have access to that, that's wonderful. But if not, don't feel like you are lost or losing nature, because it's still there, and those gods are still there as well. So connecting with nature is a really wonderful thing for your self-care, whether it's going to a trail or forest or hanging out in your backyard and grounding, or spending time with your indoor plants, or just noticing the little bits of nature as you walk through the city or your neighborhood is a really wonderful way to connect to nature. And, you know, my last thoughts on this is that it's important to empower yourself and nourish yourself so that you may empower and nourish others. And one of the beautiful things about witchcraft is that it can be incorporated into so many aspects of your life, including how you take care of yourself, your dynamics, and your relationship with yourself. And it can do so much just to improve your relationship with yourself and how you treat yourself. So treat yourself well, take care of yourself, and take care of others if you have the capacity to. If not, that's okay. Just remember to be kind and, you know, empower yourself through your magic, and remember to love yourself, and don't be too hard on yourself. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed making it. I love you all so much. Blessed be. Bye.